Welcome to the French Drain Man channel. We have a really big French drain system. We built a French drain grid in this backyard to tighten it up. There's a creek that runs behind the house. It has a really high water table. We had to build this at a certain elevation. We didn't want the system to be down as low as the creek water. If you're down as low as a lake or a stream, a river, you're going to be recirculating the water. You're going to be pulling the water from that giant body of water, and you're just going to be recirculating the water. You're going to wear out your outdoor sump pump system. So I'm going to explain what we did and why we do what we do. We shot the elevation of the creek that runs behind this home. We wanted to make sure that our French drain was not down as deep as the water line for the creek. We wanted to make sure that our French drain was a little higher than the water line. We want to tighten this yard up. The yard is acting like a sponge. It's pulling all the water in from the creek. And the yard is always saturated. And the yard is sand, by the way. This is not clay. This is a sand yard. And it's always spongy, always soft. So we want to put the French drains down as deep as we can without getting them down to the level of the creek behind the house. And we want to dry out that top layer of soil. We had to build the outdoor sump pump system, the outdoor lift station, solid. We used one of our indoor units. It doesn't have these end covers these end grates that basically let in a lot of water. There's no holes drilled in the chamber. We're literally using a closed unit because when we dig the hole to put it in, it's going to be full of water. It's just going to pump continuously if we allow the chamber to take in water. So we want to tie the French drain into this outdoor sump pump lift station, and we want to do it in a way to where we're above the water table. Now, instead of hooking it up with a PVC corrugated adapter, we're going to use an HDPE corrugated to PVC adapter. This is very flexible. It is made out of 100% virgin HDPE. It's not PVC. So if we have a freeze up in the wintertime, it's not going to crack. It's really pliable, like the HDPE corrugated pipe that's all virgin that we have. And it's made right here in the United States. The quality control could not be any higher. I oversee this myself with the owner of Innovative Mold in Washington Township, Michigan, where a bunch of proud Americans are making some really good parts. You can see that the care that's taken with each and every part for quality is like no other. Every single part is examined and it's checked for tolerances before it's boxed. So we're using the HDPE corrugated PVC adapter. It adapts PVC to corrugated pipe. We had a couple of PVC stubs into our sealed unit. This unit is sealed, completely sealed. There's no holes drilled in the chamber. There's no end grates. This is a sealed unit because we didn't want the pump down in the water, pumping continuously until one day it just burns itself up. We wanted to drain the yard down to a certain level before we got into the water table, the really high water table, because of the creek that runs behind this yard. Always use a large stone aggregate because you want to move a lot of air. You want to have a lot of void. This is going to keep the yard nice and dry when you're moving a lot of air through the system. And always put your outdoor sump pump system on its own breaker. This way, you don't have to worry about having too many things on a breaker or circuit inside your house and then throwing that breaker and not being able to have your pump waiting and ready. Now, these HDPE connections couldn't be any better. You cannot get it apart. The barbs hold it so well. And then you could put some tile tape to really make it a good watertight seal. For your best results, I like to use the tile tape. As far as the end that goes on the PVC pipe, we sometimes put some silicone which is what we did here. We put some silicone on that HDPE PVC pipe to corrugated pipe adapter, and then we went ahead and we taped it where the corrugated pipe snapped on to the adapter so that it was watertight. No roots can get through there. Really good seal. That's the best connection. That's the lifeline of this system. All the hard work that went into putting the system, you have to make sure that that connection is a good one. And during the freeze and thaw cycles, it's not going to pull apart. Now you can see how it's all sand. We're backfilling with the original native soil that was there. It's all sand. If we had a unit that had all these holes in it, it would pull in all that sand and the unit would just quit working. Plus, we're going to be down in the water table. You dig a hole and it fills full of water. Doesn't matter how fast you pump it out. If that water line in that sump pit is the same height as the water line behind the house, I'll show you the creek that runs behind this house so you can see what we're dealing with. There's a creek that runs through these trees. Because we work in Michigan and we're always working on the Great Lakes and inland lakes, we have a lot of bodies of water. We have a lot of experience with this. And what we know is if you have water recirculating, you're just going to wear your pump out. So it doesn't do you any good to put your sump pump system in and build it with holes in the chambers so that you're drawing the water from the subsurface soil and you're pulling in all that creek water, lake water, river water, stream water, wherever it's coming from, whatever that source of water is. You can't pump that down. Everything's tied to the Great Lakes here in Michigan, so you're not going to change that level. So the only two ways that the water enters our outdoor sump pump system is the two different connections that we have, where we have the French drains high up on the unit. We're basically tying them in at the same height as the French drain. The French drain is not below the depth of the creek that runs behind this lot. I can't emphasize that enough. You're never going to pump that creek down. You're never going to pump a lake down, a river down. So you have to work with those elevations. You have to understand what you're dealing with. Here's a watertight connection on a sump system that's built with a solid chamber. These are dynamite couplers. I can't emphasize enough how important this is, that you have a watertight coupler when you're building an enclosed system like this. You don't want to be pulling sand in. You don't want to be recirculating water and wearing the pump out. But this is a really sticky coupler where you pull the backing off, you stick it on, and then you go ahead and run those screw clamps down and tighten it up really nice. Beautiful, beautiful coupler. We have them here. We sell them in our online store. If you want to build a fully enclosed system, use our indoor system. If you found any of this information helpful, give us a thumbs up. It supports our channel. And if you have any other questions regarding outdoor sump pump systems, leave them in the comments section. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.